Okay, welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is doing well. Shout out to all the subscribers. Much love to you. And gratitude to anybody new locked in as well. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Let's talk about this fight, okay? Deontay Wilder versus Joseph Parker. Day of Reckoning this coming Saturday. I've made videos for almost all the fights. I've got the Bebo one coming up tomorrow. There's one or two I'm probably going to skip because I don't really think they're very good fights. But nonetheless, I've covered most of them, and this is a big event. It's a massive week, and it's, you know, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, fight card in history, supposedly, given all the names. I know there's a few mismatches. This fight isn't a mismatch, but I can't stop thinking about how this fight's going to go in terms of, like, is it going to be a lackluster performance from both guys? And I'll explain why. Well, Joseph Parker, for me, I've said this a couple of times before, like, he just seems like he's a boxer in his career, kind of getting a paycheck and just, you know, living off in the name. Look, he's done well for himself. I'm not trying to put the guy down at all. He's a former champion and he's fought some good names. He really has. He's mixed it up, and he's willing to mix it up at the very top level, you know, but he's not willing to take himself to a place to put his spirit, you know, that might need summoning to win these type of fights. He just can't, he doesn't maybe have it, you know. So, and I think he probably knows that, and he's got some skills, and he's you know, he's very athletic. I remember when he burst on the scene, and he was like, they were hyping him up quite a lot, but he had a serious speed and power and athleticism for a heavyweight. He was very fast, and, you know, he was a highlight reel. Well, they made it look like he was a highlight reel sensation, you know, before I really knew about him. Him on the pads and stuff like that, you're like, wow, this guy's good. And then you see him knocking a few guys out at a lower level, and then he became a world champion. And he, you know, he never quite lived up to, I don't want to call him a hype job, because I don't think that's fair calling people hype jobs, because it's not his fault. He got hyped up in the first place, you know what I mean? But he was just very content being a professional boxer, making millions, and fair play to him. Massive respect, massive love for fighters that do that. I really do. Big to them, big up to them. But when it comes to listening to his name and hearing him, like, in a big fight, I haven't, maybe since the AJ fight, to be honest with you, have I really paid any attention to Joseph Parker, honestly. Because I've just, you know what you're going to get. You know, and I briefly spoke about that in my last fight about, are we getting to that stage about AJ, where I compared him to Zab Judah after 5 or 6 rounds, where you know what you're going to get. That's just the leopard doesn't change his spots. And I'm referring to AJ as if, like, are we going to get this older AJ? No, but we're going to get any of it? Or is he just you're going to expect him to, you know, go to a darker place in that fight? I know he knocked out Hellenius, but that was just a skillful thing. I'm talking about if he gets tested, or like in the Usyk too, he didn't really put it and let it hang out, and at the end, and he's lost that bite, hasn't he? But look, Wilder, I do wonder these big losses that he had, right? And same with AJ, you know, like, after maybe the Klitschko fight definitely took a lot out of him. Obviously the Ruiz one definitely did, and, like, you're just not the same fighter after that, you know. When you take a beating, you know, it takes a little bit from you every time, and I just wonder, obviously Wilder, he's had one fight into almost 2 years, one round in almost 2 years. He appears to be really boxing off the back foot a bit more, and I've only got the Hellenius sample, but if you look at the training clips, which I have followed his training clips quite a lot with Malik Scott, they're always drilling lateral movement. They're always drilling, like, more of a boxing, intelligent approach to fights, you know, and he's really trying to get through to Deontay. I think that's going to be how he's going to come into and approach this fight. So I personally think he'll be using lateral movement. I don't think he's going to come forward as much. I'm not saying he's not going to. I just think he's been through those wars and been through that warrior, like, you know, that fight and ferociousness, it's just going back to that place. And I don't think he really wants to go back there. I could be wrong, but it's like, why would you want to go back there? So this is why you see what AJ's doing, where they're more reserved, and that, you know, they might still be able to go back there. I'd put money on Wilder can go back there. I'm not sure about AJ, but all I'm saying is I think it's going to be a safety first fight from both guys. That's why I was thinking this fight could be a bit of a dud. I said that a couple of days ago, but you know, I hope I'm wrong, because I would like to see a really good fight. I'd like to see Joseph Parker actually take the risks and try and win, but then he's going up against the most fearsome puncher, you know, in our generation, definitely up there in history, one of. So you don't blame him, really. Like, it's easy for me to say, go on, mate, go and sell out against Wilder, because we saw that he knocked out Helenius off the back foot. Great punch. But I expect Wilder to be very cautious. I expect him to box a bit more than he's ever done, or recently anyway. I think he boxed quite well against Deverne One, if I remember rightly. Used his jab a bit more, but it depends. This fight depends on how what type of risks and what type of energy these fighters put in. Because if it's anything like the press conference and that face-off, I'll probably be right. Because that face-off was just, you know, you wouldn't think that they're about to fight each other. And the press conference was just like Joseph Parker, just the way he talks. He just wants to get it out of the way, and that could be the same for the fight. And it could be safety first, and you know, it could be a nip and tuck, one of those fights where not a lot is happening. Obviously, look, Wilder's got that equalizer, which he probably will be looking to land, especially off the back foot. But I'm sure he's going to be willing to lose a few rounds as well, just like he did against Ortiz too. But I don't expect Parker to fill in the role of Ortiz in that situation. So I don't know really how this fight's going to go, actually. I just think it won't be very entertaining, and I think it'll be very cagey, and I think it will be very safety first. And, you know, Parker drops his lead hand a little bit when he jabs. After he jabs, he was doing that in his last fight. He's done it a lot, but he was doing it in his last fight. Steve Keane, is that guy's name? Keane something? I never heard of that guy, but he was, maybe it's because the threat wasn't there, but Parker drops that lead hand. And when you drop that lead hand and you got that right hand right there, he better be careful he's not in punching range, because, I mean, look, at the end of the day, Wilder never not landed that right hand, except for Tyson Fury 2. And even then, there were a couple of really close grazing shots where he could have, you know, a couple of millimeters here and there, it could have landed it really cleanly. So he's always landed. He's always hit the mark, and his accuracy, his timing of it, you know, he's a one-trick pony to a degree, or at least he really was. Let's see if he's got some more boxing ability now. But that trick, I think Paulie said it, it's one hell of a trick. You know, it's one hell of a trick, because it's so much involved in actually landing that punch. It's not just power. It's so much more to it. Timing, coordination. When he steps in with his feet, he does it perfectly. It's a beautiful technique. He lands the accuracy. It's just an awesome shot. It really is. The one he hit with Brazil was like you couldn't get a better punch. It's fast. He sees that moment, and he did it against Helenius too. That moment's there, and then bam. I've always talked about punching. It reminds me of like a poisonous snake. You know, they're like that, and then they're just dead still, and then boom, just venom. Wilder's like that. A lot of good, hard, crisp, sharp punches are. Floyd's like that, but not as much, obviously not the power, but just the accuracy, just waiting at bam, right hand. You know, I love it. I expect Wilder to win. I expect him to... Look, I wouldn't be shocked if this went to the points. I think it probably will go to the points, actually, because I do think it's going to be a lackluster affair. Will Wilder connect with the right hand? Yeah, probably. How will what? I've always thought Parker's had a decent chin over the time, right? He's only really Joyce obviously bulldozed him in that amazing performance, but that's the only time it's been stopped, or even really remotely close to being stopped. But I think he's got an all right chin. I don't know if it's good. It's not good enough. No one's chin is good enough to stand up against Wilder's. But will he land clean, and will Parker just... I don't know. It's quite hard to gauge given where Wilder's at, and just like, like I said, both these guys, I'm not expecting a great fight. I hope we do get one. I hope I am wrong. Let me know your thoughts. Bivol prediction coming tomorrow. And then obviously Naoya Inoue, if that's his name. I know I've been told off so many times for his enunciation. They got a fight on Boxing Day, which is the 26th. Not boxing. That's the British Boxing Day. I'm not sure exactly. It's like to do with, I don't even know. I'm going to start making stuff up. I've heard to do with boxes that I don't know. Who cares? It's on that day. I'm out of here. See you later.